Hello, this is Caran and I have another video for you today. Today I got all these pencils out because I am going to talk about something that I have kind of avoided talking about because I kind of didn't want to start anything. I didn't want to start any drama, but since over the past like 3 reviews that I've done, it's become a bigger issue. And people have talked about it more, and I definitely want to address this issue in part because I don't want it to get out of hand and I don't want people to lose focus. So what I'm going to talk about today is wax versus oil-based and why I don't give a and why you should neither. That's going to be a controversial statement. You have a lot of reviewers who make a big, huge deal about wax versus oil versus blah, blah, blah. But we're going to talk about some things, and I'm going to talk to you about why it's totally, completely overblown for 99% of adult colorists and various crafters, and why there are a bunch of other issues that should matter more when you are selecting which colored pencils to buy. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So I don't want to say the main thing, but one of the biggest reasons why people are told to care and to make a huge deal about this is this notion of wax bloom and the notion that it's going to, it's going to somehow ruin your picture, and, like you're just going to have all this wax bloom on it. It does matter, it can happen if you put a lot of layers on certain brands of pencils. However, there are other issues that are, and I use a lot of layers. However, there are a lot of issues for me that are more important to the number of layers that I will use and to the number of layers that I will need, rather than the fear of wax bloom. Like, in all my time, I've actually never seen actual wax bloom in person. I've seen it in pictures and in other people's work, and I understand if, for example, one of the brands that is supposedly really susceptible to this is the Prismacolor. A lot of people do say that they experience that with Prismacolor. I don't use them that much, so I've never experienced it, but I do have 2 pencils here. Let me show you. This is a wax-based pencil, and you can see that it's no wax bloom here to be had, and I've done a number of layers here very thickly. And this is an oil-based pencil, and I have done fewer layers on this because it really won't take many more layers than what's here, even though this is fewer layers. And you can see that both of them, I did put down a lot of layers for both of them, but the issue of wax bloom, I did not see with this pencil, and part of the reason why I didn't see it is because this was done with the Caran Luminance, which are supposedly wax based. Some people say wax and oil, but definitely at least some portion wax based. And I've never experienced it with these. From people who use them far more than I use them. They said that it's not really a common issue with these pencils. So there's that. The flip side of that is you have something like the Lyra Polycolor, which I reviewed, and I actually quite like these pencils. But one of the issues that I ran across with these pencils was the fact that they definitely ran, and you'll see a link to my review up there of these. They definitely ran very quickly into a limit of layers. These are oil-based according to the packaging. They're oil-based, but they simply did not take as many layers as the Caran Luminance. Just full stop, did not take as many layers. And that's without using any kind of solvents. I don't have solvents yet. I have ordered a whole bunch of solvents, and I'll do a review of that in the future. But they just plain didn't take as many layers. I mean, there was nothing really to be done about it. you know, without using solvents. And even for people who have used solvents, they did experience the same thing of there was a limit to how many layers you could use, even though these were oil-based pencils. So that to me ended up having a larger impact on the images that I made versus whether or not they were wax or oil-based, and versus how many layers I was able to put on versus whether or not they were wax or oil-based. Another thing that for me has a bigger impact is quality control. I've talked about breakage problems that I've had with the Prismacolor. So that's something that I have talked about and that I've experienced with the Prismacolors, and you know, it's something that I have experienced. Other people have not experienced that, but you know, that is an issue for me, at least, that definitely affects. And along with quality control goes breakages and pencil centeredness. The more uncensored a pencil is, the more off-center a pencil is, the more likely it is to run into breakages. That to me has a bigger impact on my day-to-day use of these colored pencils versus whether or not they are wax or oil based, because as you can see here from my Luminance, I can probably still put another couple of layers on here. Even though this is burnished, you can actually see that it's burnished. And this is the Lyra Polycolor, and it looks like if I try to put more layers on, I'd probably just be scraping off what's there. So there's that, as well as the comfort to hold. Let me show you this. These are two recent colored pencil reviews that I have done, and I was, you know, these are made in a, I think they're made in the same factory. They're certainly very similar pencil, but one is round and one is hexagonal. They're around about the same size, and I definitely had an easier time working with the round pencil, and it was definitely more comfortable for me to hold. Some people find the hexagonal pencils more comfortable to hold. I found the round ones to be more comfortable to hold. That for me has a bigger impact of whether or not I will enjoy the pencils, whether or not I will use them. There's a limit to how many layers I can do with this, so there's that. Let me go on here to the next step. So that's, I'm more concerned about that than about whether or not they are wax or oil based. Comfort to hold. And the other thing is that there's like I said, there's a thing, and I'm not sure where it started, but some people are, you know, extremely afraid of wax bloom. Even when you get it, you can just wipe it off with a cloth. Like I don't, it's one of those issues that for me is not that big a deal, and for me, I'm more concerned about other issues. And at the end of the day, it boils down to this, you know, like, would I rather have a complete set of the Lyra Polycolors or a complete set of the Luminance? I will take the Luminance pretty much any day of the week. No offense to the Lyra Polycolors. They are nice pencils for what they are, but there are other issues: the quality control, the centeredness, the quality of the wood, how well they sharpen, you know, like all these other issues that sort of affect your day-to-day use of the pencils much more than wax bloom does. Even though I keep saying everyone, it's not everyone. There's a lot of people who are extremely focused on the issue of wax bloom, and for me, even though I use a whole lot of layers, it's not an issue that I've dealt with all that often, because I think that it's more important to worry about the quality of the pencils in and of themselves than about whether or not they are wax or oil based. It's more important to focus on, you know, the usability of the pencils, as well as issues like customer service, whether or not the company will get back to you if there's an issue with the pencils, than about whether or not they are wax or oil based. Anyway, this is just my little, I don't even want to call it a public service announcement. This is just my feelings on this issue. I'm sure people will disagree down in the comments, and that's just what it is. So I'm kind of scared to do this video, but I was just talking to you about why when I do my videos, I don't really, you know, if I mention it, I mention it in passing, or I mentioned, you know, for the Pablos, I think there was a lot of there's a lot of going around, especially with the Pablos, that they are oil-based. From what I've seen and from the fact that Caran doesn't make any other oil-based products, these are almost certainly wax-based. But again, for the reasons that I talked to you about before, it's really not that big of a deal. What matters is all the other features. What matters is the shape of the pencil, if it's comfortable for you to hold, you know, the quality, the pigment lay down, the intensity of how much pigment you get when you drop a load. Okay, that sounded dirty, but you guys know what I'm saying. Those are all the other issues that I personally, when I'm selecting a pencil, are more important than whether or not a pencil is wax or oil based. And I hope you guys found this video helpful. I'm sorry if you guys disagree. Let me know down in the comments. Is wax versus oil based a factor when you're looking for pencils? If so, why? I'm genuinely curious about this. Because from what I've seen with all the pencils that I've reviewed, I think that there are other issues that make a much bigger difference to me about the level of usability from the pencils than there is that. Once again, I want to thank the Patreons for supporting me over on Patreon. If you haven't gone over there, definitely go over there and check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, especially if you get into it with somebody who's like, oh, wax-based pencils are better, or oh, oil-based pencils are better. Don't be afraid to send them this link and let me know down in the comments what you guys think about that. And I will see you guys next time. Bye. Hey, Belita. Who's your Belita? Oh, who's your Belita? Oh, who's your Belita?